Welcome back to another episode of Humanhood 101's Parental Confessions. Today's guest is an amazing, wonderful, truly pure human being, a blessing to this planet. Her name is Toya Roberts.
Hi.
She is an artist, she is an educator, she is an education specialist, if I could say. She is a theatrist. She's an amazing person. She has tons of hats. They're going to give her opportunity to say some of the things that she would like to say about who and what she does. But most importantly, she's here because she is a parent.
I am.
Tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the show.
Okay, so yes, I'm a lifelong educator, um, but I'm also, like you said, I'm an actress at heart. That was my major when I went to college. Um, I like to think I like to be a creative person. I love art. I love our people. I love culture. Um, yeah, those are the things about me.
And she, like, when she says she loves her culture and she loves her people, she breathes and lives, eats, digests, and dreams that every day. But most of all, I know she loves her child.
I do.
How many you do have just one child, or right?
So I have one son.
Okay.
However, I mean, I did also have custody of my goddaughter for quite a few years. So one and a half, two.
Okay. So that does count as parenting
Yes, it
experience.
does. Yes, it does.
How long
Absolutely.
was she with you?
She was with me for 3 straight years, and then she went off to college. And then after she graduated, she came back for a few years. Oh, no, for a few months, sorry. And now she's over on the continent with her parents.
You've had her in her teenage years.
I did. I got her when she was 13, going on 14, I think. Yeah.
That's parenting to the next level. How old is your son?
My son is now 21.
Oh, you got a grown folk.
He's a grown folk.
So we gonna have some good. We gonna have some good. So this is a seasoned parent, y'all. This is someone who is obviously not just coming from a parental perspective, but she's also worked with children.
That is my life. Yes, I've been an educator for 26 years now. And so I started off in kindergarten
Mm.
and I've taught all the way up through sixth grade. But I also work with teachers as well. So I work with helping teachers to look at how their instruction works best for kids. So yeah, kids of all ages, even adults. So it all works.
So, all right, we I was going to do my best to not, let y'all know this, but Toya is actually my cousin. Okay, so let me just
Can
let's
y'all see it
let's just
though?
keep
Look.
it real. Let's
Look at
just
our
be
faces.
honest. But and this is I don't have too many family members that I interview, this is actually of my blood family. This is actually my first interview. So kudos to us. So let's get into it. Of course, this is Human 101's Parental Confessions. The objective is to speak our minds, our thoughts, our feelings, our memories to help our listeners become inspired and let go of fears and let go of lack so they can kind of face and deal with some of the things that they might be dealing with as far as parental challenges, because we all dealing with it. Sometimes we tend to think that we're just dealing with things on our own by ourselves,
Right.
like we're the only ones.
And we're all
So
going through
we're
it.
all going through it. So are you ready? I got my
I'm
questions
ready.
ready. You ready?
Let's go.
So first one is an easy question. How has parenting changed your life, if it has?
It has. I was an only child. So by nature, everything is mine, 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 mine.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think my son
yeah.
would probably say
Mine,
I'm
mine.
still kind of that way. But being a parent really did make me less selfish. I had to, I didn't have to, but I did. All of a sudden, I had this whole other being that meant more than I did to myself. And so
Mm.
it made me grow in that way. It grew my patience. I'm laughing because I can already hear my son laughing about that. small amount of patience, but he doesn't know that has grown in leaps and bounds. It even stretched the way that I think I look at how I my view of parenting changed even throughout this parenting journey, which I think means that you grow.
Mm-hmm. 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 A growing parent.
You have to.
Mm-hmm.
Your child's going to make you grow because they're their own person, right? So whatever you thought going in is going to change because that child, your child is not there to fit into your mold, right?
Right.
Your child is going to be their own unique individual being. They have their own path, they have their own journey that they have to go on. Your role is to kind of to make it safe enough, but to also let them go. Let them experience it, let them make their choices, let them make the mistakes. And that's not, I don't think that is at all what I thought parenting was going to be like when I first realized I was pregnant. At all.
You talk about letting them go, letting them have their mistakes. You know, a sense of liberty so the human can be whoever they need to turn out to be. Is that difficult?
Absolutely. It's scary. It's scary, right? And that's why it's difficult because it is it is frightening. I think especially from a mother's perspective, right? We have this baby that is growing inside of us.
Mm.
And it is protected by by our belly basically, and everything that we do for those 9 months is to protect and grow them, right? We're going to eat right, we're going to sleep, if they're cold, if we're cold, all of that is protection. When they first get out, it's still protection, 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 right? And then they get to a point where you actually have to step back and let them make their own choices, but that stepping back and letting them make their own choices almost goes against the protection type of mindset that you have, and that's hard. That is, for me, I think that was the hardest part. I raised a son, and knowing that he was a black man in America, I understood what that meant and what some of the pitfalls that might cause or that might bring, right? Some of the energy that might bring about. And that was scary. But at the same time, you want your child to be free. You want them to grow. You want them to stretch. Why can't they have everything that they want? And so, yeah, those two things are very opposite, and they kind of butt up against each other, and that is the challenge.
Wow. So in 21 plus years of parenting, what have you discovered in that journey in regards to the budding, in regards to learning to let go, in regards to presenting, keeping that presentation of liberty to your offspring?
That's an interesting question. What have you discovered? I mean, so much.
Yeah.
So much.
Give me the highlight, like the thing that stands out the most.
That it is one of the hardest jobs in the entire world. It is. But it's also, it is the most rewarding. It is humbling. To think that I even had a part in the human being that is my son is absolutely humbling. But maybe, let me see. If I have to think about the highlights, right?
Yeah,
Let's see.
Yeah.
I think it is watching them excel, right? Watching them really become their own person. And I know I'm saying that a lot, but it's the truth. Since we kept it real, we're family.
Absolutely.
We know that, and I'll share with everyone else out here, we kind of visioned before my son, before we even realized that he was a boy. We all saw him.
Yeah.
My mom saw him, I saw him, you saw him.
Yeah.
So that does something. You start to picture your own, like, oh, he's going to be like this. He's going to sound like this. He's going to do this. He's going to react this way. in every stage, it's another one of those expectations. It's parenthood is it's a waiting game. I feel like even once they are here on this earth and walking around, I remember like thinking, "Oh, I can't wait to hear his voice or the first time he says, 'Mom,' or all of those things." And then it's I can't wait to see him walk, and I can't wait. And then at some point, it's like, "Oh my gosh, stop, stop doing all the things because it's going so fast, right?"
Yeah.
But yes, if I had to think about one of the things that is the most amazing, it is watching your child become the person that they are supposed to be instead of the person that you thought they should be.
Ooh, that's a tricky one for a lot of people.
It's so hard.
That's a tricky one for a lot of people.
if and it's funny because I'm able to look at this in two ways.
Mm.
Yes, I'm a mom, but I was also my mom's child, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm able to go back and think about how she parented me.
Mm.
And she, as much as she allowed me to be, I was a brat, but that was a good thing that gave me my voice. I was able to express, no, I don't like that, or yes, I like that, or I don't think I want to do that right now. And that I think was invaluable. I don't think I gave that to my son.
Oh, you did the exact opposite. I mean, that the next question I was going to ask you is how did the way you were parenting affect how you parent your child in one way or the other?
Okay, so everybody who knows me knows I'm a picky eater, right? So one of the things I wanted to make sure to do was to make sure that he didn't have that. But even in that, I'm controlling something, right? We all know I have control issues.
Man.
So even with that, I was controlling. The one thing, and it was another relative of ours who pulled me to the side when my son was 13, 14, maybe 14. And she said, "You have to step back," because I was still in that controlling mode, even more so at that point because I was right after my mom passed. And she said, "You have to step back to give him room to breathe." I think I've told her thanks since then, but I think I need to say it again because that was the best advice I had. I think if you've already done the instilling of the lessons and making sure that they've learned whatever it is that they need to learn, you have to step back at a certain point. And my mom did it for me, and I did it with him,
Mm.
and I think I see the rewards of that. I think the person who he is today, is a nice person. I told him recently, like, I would be your friend. I mean, I'm your mom. But if I didn't know you, I think I would like to talk to you, which is.
That's awesome. Did y'all hear that, parents? Y'all need to. I would like to. She's not saying she is the passive parent with her child. She's saying to her child, if I didn't know you, I'd like to be your friend. I would like you. We would be cool.
Absolutely.
That's an awesome way to, because you get to see your child outside of your eyes for a little bit.
Like I watch him when he talks to his friends. I listen to him when he tells me some of the things about his relationships with the people in his life, and I'm like, he would be a real cool. Like he would be a solid individual that you can count on, and that's cool. That somehow I had something to do with that. Not I won't take 100% credit because he's his own person.
Yeah.
Which was the goal.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
So what about parental frustrations? Give me the most frustrating aspect of parenting for you. Whether you mastered the frustration or you still dealing with it. No.
I think
She said, "No, I'm still."
Not. I think that the most frustrating part, but this is for me, it's character. It's part of that, right? Mm-hmm. So it's control. It's I can't control everything,
Mm.
and you want to because you want to keep everything safe. It's not reality. It's not the real world, but it's what you do. You want to keep everything safe. So that's frustrating. And I think that really is it. If I think about individual, like specific instances, um, I remember, I would say this was within the last 6 months. He had gone out with his friends,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a thing. So listen, I still pay for the cell phone bill, right? So if I
Oh,
still pay for the cell phone bill, keep your location on. I won't bother you in all the years. I don't bother him, but it gives me peace of mind. Like I know where you are. I can see
right,
that you're okay, and then I can go to sleep.
right.
This one particular night, um, I texted him just to say, like you're still coming home at 1 p.m., 1 a.m. or whatever it was, and he didn't text back. And I'm a worrier,
Mm.
so I went like every sort of place, and in my mind, like, what is he okay? Is he alive? Okay, I see where his dot is. Is that a parking lot? Is he? So
Mm.
I freaked out, and I called and I called and I called and I called. He did not answer. He did not text back. Eventually, maybe 30, 40 minutes after, when I was about ready to put on my clothes and drive over there, he responded. But that was a interesting, like, wake up call for me. Like, this was before he turned 21, which means he was 20. Like, what am I doing? I
Right,
can't do that.
right.
But so right now in parenting, the frustrating part is still letting go.
It's still letting
It is
go.
still letting go.
Wow, and he's an adult now.
He's an adult. I
Wow.
feel like, oh my gosh, am I still going to be dealing with this when he's, 35 and he lives in a different, who knows, country, a different state?
Yeah,
Am I still going to be like, why didn't he do X, Y, Z?
yeah.
Like, is this a lifelong thing? I don't know. But
Is it a matter of trust? Do you trust him?
I do. So that night, it wasn't about that. It
Yeah,
wasn't about me trusting him. It really was, is he? It's the world that I'm not
yeah,
trusting,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
is he okay? We live in a crazy place with crazy people. Did someone see him and decide that he's a threat? He's a whatever. That's what the fear is, and that's the fear that can overtake you in times. But I like to think that if there's anything redeeming, maybe even in my parenthood travels, it's that I don't let that overtake me.
Mm.
I almost did that night, but usually I don't let it overtake me.
Yeah,
I feel it, and then I still try to. Because the thing is this: the flip side of that is then you become that parent who's overbearing, who is there, showing up and
yeah,
and in your
yeah,
business and
yeah.
interfering with your relationships. And I don't want to be that person. So
Mm.
it's a fine line. That's what's next on the horizon is relationships, right? And then I have to walk that line with that too. So that's coming.
That's next. That's pretty late in the game. You know,
No, no,
no.
no, 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 no. My mother always said.
I mean, I started young, y'all.
Yes,
You
but
know,
I'm
that's
talking about relationships, meaning my mom always said, don't get married, until you're 30 or after, because your 20s is your time where you bump your head against the wall trying to figure out life. So, not a good time to get married, maybe. I don't know. Other people, maybe it's good for you. But that is what she told me. And so I did pass that message on to my son. Even if he does, I feel like we still have some time. At 21, maybe not. You should
yeah,
get
right,
married. So
right,
I feel like we still have some time. And hopefully by then I will have mastered my letting go. I'm good at getting out the way though, so it'll work itself out.
So letting go and getting rid of the frustrations and like facing it, all of that must be really difficult in regards to raising a son
Mm-hmm.
as a mother.
Absolutely. So for me,
And it was you were the primary parent.
it was just me. So I mean, his father exists. His father is there, but his father lives in a different state.
Yeah.
So it was just me, 24/7. And in addition to that, I did not grow up with my father in the house. My father lived in St. Croix for most of my life. By the time I was 5, so I didn't have brothers in the house. This was like brand new territory for me.
Mm.
Um, and I think it was helpful. I think about that now, like, oh God, you are hilarious. So taught me about men through my son. Like, y'all are different species.
Yeah, we are. But the fact that you can say that you learned about
Yeah.
men through your son.
Because it's something that's innate, I think, so with that statement, I have to also say one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I did not breed into my son was toxic masculinity, because it's rampant, right?
Mm.
So that was one of the things I wanted to make sure that I did not pour into him. However, I also was like, okay, well, who am I to be making these decisions when I'm not a man? I could just kind of go on the men in my life who were amazing examples and the things I didn't like. And then at the same time, even with all of that, trying to step back and allow it to be, because it's not Frankenstein. I'm not trying to make my own creature, right? If that makes any sense.
No, it does. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
It's a mix.
So, in regards to that, like, having issues in maybe your childhood, having not what you thought was the best with the men in your life that was supposed to be raising you, or your elders or whatever. Do you ever find yourself taking those issues out, or have you ever found yourself taking those issues out on your own son?
Hmm. You know what's so funny? I don't think so. It would be an interesting question to ask him. I didn't see it that way. One of my and this here's control, and here's this whole ideal that I had when I first realized I'm having a boy. Whoa. I wanted a boy though, but then when it was real, it was like, whoa, what do I know about this?
Yeah.
But okay, we're gonna figure this out. One of the things I remember thinking is, I just want him to be a person who somebody at some point one day will say, Miss Roberts, thank you so much. He is amazing. And then I'll have to say, that really wasn't me. That was him. But, like, I wanted just, that was all that mattered to me, was that he wound up being a decent human being. Not just a decent human being, like an amazing human being, who felt his worth.
Felt his worth. Giving us some phrases tonight, Toya.
I don't know if he does. I hope he does.
Yeah.
I think he does, though. I think he does.
What's the scariest moment you've ever had in parenting?
Oh my gosh.
You sound like you got a bunch of them.
Where do we start?
I'm gonna have to talk to this boy again. But the thing that, you spoke a little bit earlier about you almost got dressed and went, and looked for him. I think a lot of parents have had that. What's the most, like, your heart dropped? Like, you just, like,
There's a few. There really are a few. So, there was a moment, he maybe was 3 or 4. We were at a family gathering. It was at Valley Stream State Park or something like that, somewhere out there. And we were all around the picnic benches, and it wasn't too far from the parking lot. And we were all there. We were all having a great time. And when I mean all, there's about a good 40 of us out there. He decided to run towards the parking lot.
Ooh.
And he was a good distance away from me. And the parking lot was an active parking lot. It was Memorial Day weekend. It was crowded. And he was far enough from me that I remember in that split second thinking, although he's only 3, he's closer to the parking lot than I am to him.
Yeah.
And unless I can speed up, he's gonna be in the parking lot before I get there. And he's so tiny, like a car can like. I remember the rest of my cousins calling me Flojo that day. I made it. I got him, and that was scary. The other thing about him is he actually, you know what? I can go back even further. The night that I brought him home from the hospital,
Whoa.
he, you know, he was good for quite a few hours. Everything was amazing. I was absolutely petrified as a brand new mom. And then when it got dark, my mom was there with me. It got dark, and he started to cry, which, okay, that's normal.
Right.
That's what
Babies
do.
cry. Right.
And then a few hours later, he was still crying.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, I don't think this is normal at this point. When I say he cried all night, it was the entire night. Like my mom was like, well, maybe it's colic. And I was like, I don't think colic starts like on day 3.
Right.
We were running the vacuum cleaner. We were like trying to figure out, what do you do?
Right.
So
this was before Google, right? Like you can like
so
ask some questions.
Yes, before Google. There's no, like, we had to just try to come up with our own
right.
memories. It's too late. I was like, I don't think, like, it feels crazy to go to the ER to say he's just crying. Like, that doesn't seem to be it. You know, you go through all the thoughts. Does he just not like me as a mom? What is happening? But we went the very next, as soon as the sun cracked, called the doctor's office as soon as they opened, and she said, bring him right in. So we went directly there. They checked him, and sure enough, his bilirubin, I guess, had raised, and he had some jaundice. And so she goes, he's jaundiced, and I need you to take him directly back to the hospital. So I took him back to the hospital, and they said we need to keep him. And we have to put him onto lights. He's like 3 days old.
Yeah.
I was like, what? No. And she was like, yeah, we're going to keep him the night. And I could not even comprehend. Like, I needed to leave my brand new baby. I just left him. I need to leave him here. And I had told the hospital, like, I'm not leaving. Control issues again. And my mom told me, I think, the best lesson ever. I tell this to anyone who's ever pregnant. She said, you have to go. She said, because you have got to get some rest, and you need a good night's sleep. As his mom, as his parent, you have got to be okay.
Yeah.
Because if you're not okay, he's not going to be okay. So you need to go home, get a good night's sleep, get up, make some breakfast, and then go. You go back to him. That was scary, though.
I bet it was. Yeah, brand new mom. Wow. But you got through it.
Of course.
21 years
21
later.
years later.
Yeah.
And now it's talking about him being out with his friends scaring me. So, yes.
Because we gonna bring him on the show, y'all. We're going to have a part 2, a sequel to Toya's Confessions, and we're going to bring her son on here. We'll I'm not going to say his name or anything. I ain't going to shout out, even though some of y'all might know. But for those who don't know, you're in for a treat when he gets behind this camera, on his other side of this camera. Yeah. But I do have another question. So if you could go back in time 21 years ago, what would you tell young parenting Toya? What advice would you give her?
Let him be who he is. Just let him, like, he's golden, and let him be. Let him shine. Let him be. You know this, and I'll share this with people. When he was a little boy, 2, 3, 4, 5, he used to dance and dance and dance and dance and dance. And I think about this because this is a cautionary tale when I think about parenting. He danced to everything. He danced to every beat in a song.
Yeah.
Every beat. So,
words too.
Like, yes, he was all over the place, like a dancing machine.
Yeah.
And it got so much attention that I feel that it made him stop dancing, right? Like, it crushed my heart when I realized, oh, he won't dance. He won't dance
I
anymore.
know. Yeah.
And then one day, maybe a few years ago, I saw him. I was walking past his room. And he was in his room by himself and he was dancing. And he got so upset because I was like, oh my gosh, you're dancing. And he was like, and then recently we went to a wedding together and he was dancing again. I say that story because I think the cautionary tale is allow your children to shine and allow them to feel good shining.
Mm.
Allow them to be unique, different, who they are supposed to be. That's the message. Let them be who they are.
Mm. Mm.
You're just there to, like a flower, just to pour the water on them and watch them grow, help them grow, prune it when it needs to be pruned, but leave them be for the most part. Let them grow.
Mm.
That's it.
Let them grow.
Yeah.
You've been awesome. You've given us so much, so many gems. You've dropped so much reflection on us. What would be one, for every show we do a powerful parenting tip? I'm usually the one that gives it, but since I have an education specialist here, give us one powerful parenting principle tip that you would give the people.
It's not about education at all. It really is about making sure that you're okay as a parent. Because again, your child will not be okay if you're not okay. My mom said it to me at that very first few days, but she said it to me many, many, many times throughout my parenting journey. And one time I remember she gave me the example of being on a plane. And she said, just like they tell you on a plane, you have to put your mask on first
Right.
before you can help whoever's with you.
Yeah.
She said you have to. And so, yeah, I say whatever it takes to make yourself happy so that you can then make sure your child is happy. Whatever it takes to make sure that you are full so that you can make sure your child is full.
Yeah.
You got to be a complete person so that you can make sure your child is complete.
Ashe. Powerful principle that is. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for doing this powerful parenting principle, for doing this interview on Human 101's Parental Confessions. We will see you next time with another wonderful guest. And hopefully, pretty soon, we'll get the sequel to see if Toya's son, my godson slash cousin, will get on here and be the first parent-child interview that we ever
It'll be
have.
interesting to see what he says.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
It might be everything I said might be thrown out the window.
It's going to be awesome. I look forward to it. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. We'll see you next time on Humanhood 101's Parental Confession. Peace, y'all.